Hello, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, good evening. Welcome to the SS Chandhok Talk Show. Today, I'm very excited because we are going to start up a very new and fresh episode or topics on which we'll be talking to the experts of the industry who on the other side of the industry or on the other side of the schools, they are helping us out with different things, with different knowledgeful things. Starting up with the first exhibit of Scholars Galaxy, today we have a very eminent guest, Mr. Nirmal Shah. Nirmal Shah sir is the co-founder of a maths learning app, and he has a lot of thorough knowledge and he has done a lot of observation experimentation for the difficulties faced by the students to cope up with mathematics. He is up with many things, but today we are going to talk only about financial literacy. As we know that CBSE has introduced it in the school level. So today our topic is financial literacy in schools. The insightness of financial literacy, what's there in it, how it has to be carried forward. This is what we are going to talk about it with our Star Galaxy first candidate, that is Mr. Nirmal Shah. Nirmal Shah sir has a very good name in the industry for mathematics. He has been providing his facilities, his Countingwell app to the schools, wherein the very good brands, they have got so much help with these type of app that the students have cope up with the mathematics problem. But let's come up to the main topic which we are going to talk about, that is financial literacy in schools. Thank you, Nirmal Shah sir, for coming up to the show for our new generation episode, that is what we call Scholars Galaxy. And you are our first scholar and exhibit one shows expert. Sir, please a little bit about yourself, sir.
Sure. So pleasure to be here, and really interesting initiative from you. We have been talking about maths for several weeks now, but I think going beyond math and talking about these other things is very important, especially with how the education system and how the whole curriculum is evolving with NEP and the steps that CBSE is taking as well. So great to be here, and I hope I do justice to your new initiative.
Of course, sir, because we are coming up with this series with exhibits, just coming up to the very different things which are not connected to the normal episodes what we are doing. So today we have financial literacy. We want to have the insightness of financial literacy from you and how we can take it up to the schools. So the first of all, sir, my question to you will be that why should financial literacy be taught in schools?
Yeah, so this is interesting, right? I think at my age even, I don't consider myself financially wise. And I think that is something that we have to clearly understand, that there is a difference between what we call as literacy and what we call as wisdom, or even simply what we might call as education. And what is really important is not merely to impart financial literacy to children, but to make them financially prudent, make them wise in the ways of managing their own money, so that they are able to make the right decisions to protect and grow their money. So I think that from that point of view, when we talk about financial literacy, why it should start, and while we keep saying financial literacy, I will always keep focusing on building that financial wisdom, right? But why should it start at that young age is because any good habit we build, any good behavioral trait we create should start early. And I believe that when it comes to managing your own money, right? Forget other people's money. When it comes to managing your own money, your personal finance, that's a behavioral trait which we should have and which we should grow with from an early age. And that's why starting it in the schools is the perfect place for anyone to become financially literate and financially wise.
So, because financial literacy covers a lot of things. So what should it cover up during the school learning?
Now, financial literacy, when we talk about, of course, yes. So it can cover everything from a variety of concepts and definitions and things like that, which can be very dry, right? So, you can talk about things like what is NEFT, what is RTGS, what is a check, and how online payment works and how UPI works and things like that. Kids should know that, of course. But also, I think that what it really needs to include is help children create a kind of mental framework to make financial decisions, right? And to make right financial decisions. When should they spend money? When should they invest? What is the difference between saving and investing? How should they protect their money? How should they make sure that if they borrow money, they become responsible borrowers? When they spend money, how do they become responsible spenders? Those are the important things which should be imparted. So what it should really cover is not merely a whole series of definitions of various financial concepts, but also scenarios where children have to make financial decisions that can impact their future, and show them how to make those decisions, what kind of mental framework and decision-making framework they should have in order to make those kind of decisions.
Right, that's wonderful, sir. So my next question to you is that you had a discussion with me earlier and you said that financial literacy should be taught by expert-driven course, as an expert-driven course. So, and not to be taught by the school teachers, simply they are doing up with the theoretical part of that. So what do you say about it? So why it should be taught through expert-driven courses?
So what I meant is not that it should not be taught by school teachers, but it should be taught by people who are trained to teach in a certain way, right? So when it comes to normal school subjects, just the way the teachers are trained to teach those subjects in a certain way, in the same way, I think when it comes to something like financial literacy, it should be taught to children in a way where they feel that it's very hands-on, where they feel that it's very experiential. At the same time, they should kind of become very, very involved in that whole process. So just as an example, one of the things that we teach is budgeting, right? Now, if you take it at its very face value, what budgeting really people think about is that you talk about income, you talk about what you plan to spend and what you have spent, and whether there is any money left over, or if there is a deficit, then what you do. But I think that when it comes to personal budgeting, it has to go beyond that, right? So in the sense that what happens when you have constraints? What happens when you are short of money but you have to meet certain budget goals? What happens when you have excess money? Do you really spend it all? So these are the kind of decisions that children have to make, and the person who is facilitating this learning should also be able to work with children in helping them understand how these scenarios occur in real life and how they should make those decisions using the parameters that are available to them. And that's why I meant that it should be an expert-driven course, right? It should be somebody who can actually be a facilitator to this sort of learning.
So, but the next question to you is that normally the teachers, mathematics teacher, they have to do this in school. So how does Countingwell for you help the school leaders, the school mathematicians, that they should take it very properly, like you call it as, that as an expert-driven course via Countingwell to the students?
So there are different ways that we can structure this, right? And given how technology works today, making it or blending it in the classroom is extremely easy. And since we are already present in a lot of schools, we have started testing that in the field as well. So what we have done is that the way we have structured the course is that we have made it a 3-part course, or 3 different components of the course. There is one which is a classroom component. In fact, in some cases, I myself go and take some sessions, but it can be done over Zoom or any kind of a video conference kind of mode, or the teachers can also be trained if it is required. So there it is more of a facilitating mode, right? We kind of get children to do various activities, and while they do those activities, they learn to make financial decisions. The next part is on the Countingwell app itself. So we have a series of modules which are there on the Countingwell app, which the children can do on a self-learning mode. So now when we combine both of these, wherever there is lack of expertise in the physical class, the app can supplement that, and vice versa. So that way it becomes a whole. And finally, we also have the component of a workbook where the children do a series of exercises as part of different modules that we cover. And at the very basic level, we cover 5 different modules, and then we go up as we go to higher classes. So what happens there is that now we are able to bring in the element of physically doing something in a book. There are projects, there are activities and all of that. Then there is the app, which the child can do on a self-paced manner. Plus, it also helps them do, repetitive learning. If they have missed something, they've not understood, they can always go back to it and refer to it. And there is the classroom component where it is a more of a facilitated learning, so to speak.
So has these topic, financial literacy has been added up in the books or yet or not?
So it's not in the textbook per se, right? But what I have seen is that CBSE, for example, has released a book just on financial literacy along with NPCI. Now, one of the things which I observed in that book is that, again, it does not impart financial wisdom. And I feel that that is where a lot of the so-called financial literacy content lacks, right? Because unless we impart the ability to make financial decisions to children, we are just giving them theory. We are just, asking them to read a series of definitions. They will read that and they will probably, write that in an exam, and that will carry some few marks as a kind of extracurricular, or maybe there is some kind of grade, and everybody will get A grades, right? Because they just memorize and repeat whatever they have read in that book. But the point is that, are they able to actually make wise financial decisions? I'll give you an example. One of the things that we have included in our financial literacy course is how to become a smart shopper. Okay. Now, we would say, why is smart shopping, what does that have to do with financial literacy? But it has to do with protecting my money, right? If I'm spending money to buy something, I want to get the best deal at the best price, and I don't want to be fooled away. And you will see that there are a lot of deals out there, right? So one is, of course, that you compare at different places, but you also find that somebody will say that we will give a discount after GST. Somebody will say that we'll give a discount before GST and then GST will be added. Somebody says we give you a cashback of 25% up to 50 rupees. And you realize that if you buy 1,000 rupee items, you don't get 25% cashback. You only get 50 rupees back. So how do children learn to read that fine print and then make a decision to buy something, right? That's a very simple example, but this is what we face in our everyday lives. And if children do not know this, then what really happens is they go by the most colorful ad that they see, right? What is the brightest, most colorful? That's what is the best. Or where they see 25% discount, that's what is the best. They don't really compare what they're going to end up paying at the end of the purchase. So, this is where the value comes in, right? When we say that we bring financial wisdom, this is the kind of value that should be brought in. And this is where the differentiation comes in, where, we don't simply write 9,600, 200 pages of book with a lot of definitions, a lot of theory, and not really teach the children how to make real financial decisions for themselves.
It is just like same that teachers, when they do their B.Ed, they have done their bachelor's in education, but we talk that practically when they teach inside the school, then only they get their experience out of that. So that way, because children also sometimes they ask in different subjects, sir or ma'am, are we going to use this practically in our life? Or why are we studying this? Is it useful? So that is why the government and NEP has brought up financial literacy, so that actually the students, the children, they may get the proper knowledge, the practical knowledge of whatever is happening in the market. Like you gave, yeah.
That's a wonderful initiative, right? Bringing financial literacy at this age, I think that's very visionary of the government. But at the same time, that vision has to translate into, usable execution. It should not translate into a very dry textbook, which the children just feel that I have to read this and I go and repeat everything and I'll get my marks and I'm done. Because this is for life, right? Whatever they're learning here is something which will shape their future in many ways. And that is why it's important that, again, I keep coming back to this word wisdom, right? that's why it is important that we impart the wisdom, we impart the right way of thinking about money. So, just as another example, one of the things that we have done is some of the exercises we have. We ask the children, so we have, for example, tied up with a bank, and in some cases, we actually take them into a bank branch, not show them the banking operations, because today, who goes to the bank, right? I have not been inside a bank for, I don't know how many months, but when you go talk to a banker and you understand how loan works. When you want to take a loan, how many pages of forms you have to fill. And when you have to take a loan, there is something called credit history which you have to create. And why credit history is important? In order to have that credit history, you have to maintain good credit. You can't simply borrow money and forget about it, right? So this kind of thinking has to be brought into children. And when we make it that immersive, they go into a bank, talk to a banker, and the banker says, look, I cannot give this person a credit card for this reason. Or when I give this credit card, this is the amount of interest they will have to pay. That's when children realize how actual money works in real life, right? And I think that experiential learning, that immersion is very, very important to them.
That is what we are trying to understand today, is why financial literacy should be taught in schools. One thing what I'm able to understand even is when the children, those who don't have interest in mathematics, when they will do up these practical things, obviously the reverse will be that they will get interest in mathematics, the subject also. That is co-connected, that is correlated. See, when he goes up and you say that there will be a 25% discount both before GST, and you will have a say 5% or 8% or 18% GST. So then he'll do that practically. Okay, you're going to buy this. So how much discount you're going to get? How much you have to just calculate it. So out of anxiety, out of his curiosity, he will try to do that. Curiosity is something which develops the mind. And when he'll be able to do that, he'll find the right answer and he'll get the backup that, okay, good, you have done that. Okay, you pay this. So that way, reversely, that the maths will also improve of these type of children who are called average or below average students, but they are not. Because practically, when we are talking to the parents, they're saying my child is below average or average. When you talk to them, are they average or below average while using their mobile? They said, no, they are very good at that. So the interest, creativity is the most important thing. And when you are giving these type of live examples in your modules and all, so that also affects a lot. So from which classes to which classes should this be taught?
So we start at 6th grade. I think below 6th is obviously children are too young to really understand financial concepts. But I think that from 6th grade onwards, they should be able to handle money, right? Or they should be at least be able to think about money in the right way.
Right.
This is the age when they should start. Just as an example, with my own son, what I have done is that I've given him a prepaid kind of debit card, and I've said that your mobile phone, you will pay your bills. So you track when the bill is due. You realize that if you don't pay on time, you will have to pay an extra penalty. So it's going to hurt you, right? Because it's going to cost you more. These are the things which you have to learn. So simple things. But if we get the children to get started on that at that young age, I think they will become much more responsible people, not merely with their own money, but just their thinking will become very, very responsible, right? They will start realizing that I can't be lazy about money. So it applies to other things as well. When I'm lazy and I don't do things on time, then there is a negative impact of that onto something else, right? So those are the kind of things which they should be thinking about. And I think this is a very good way to get them started in that direction. And of course, like you said about mathematics, in fact, that's why we designed the financial literacy course to start with. Like when we started, we said, we are a math learning platform, and we want children to understand how the math that they are learning in the school, how it's going to help them in their real life. And one aspect of that is personal finance. So when they learn about things like ratios, they learn things like percentages, discounts, profit and loss, things like this. This is what is going to be useful to them. But you don't simply say that I can calculate 80% of 2,782 and something comes out of it. It's not about that, right? You have to know how it applies in real life. So that's why we created this course. So now it works both ways, right? So you learn math, and that helps you better deal with money. And when you start dealing with money, you realize that whatever math I have learned, it's actually useful, and therefore I get more interested in learning math.
Absolutely right, sir. When they will come back and see into the book, they say, oh, this is the same thing. Oh, this was so simple, which I was taking as a very big thing. So that breaks down the phobia which you already had with mathematics, and that will result to a very good result with the schools also. So, sir, my next question to you will be that how can we make experiential learning, how can we make this one as experiential learning and hands-on instead of making the theory subject? Because we have seen many things which are being taught in mathematics even, they are only theory classes. The teachers, they take up a theory classes. Okay, this is there, they get a reading done and they make it understand. But it generally does not go into the head of the children. How we should take it, sir?
So, I think that it needs to be very activity based, plus there needs to be a lot of decision making component involved in that whole program, right? What we have done is that we've made it very, very participative for the child. So, every step of the way, we are asking them to make decisions when they're learning something. So just as another example, one of the things we do is, even as part of that learning process, the way we teach about inflation is we say that here is this person and she wants to buy a car in 2 years, and this is the price of the car. So she starts saving money now because she wants to buy it after 2 years, right? Now, after 2 years, the price has gone up. So do you realize why this has happened? And then we introduce the idea of inflation, that this is what happens with inflation. And when you save money and you think that, you're just putting 20,000 rupees into your, keeping cash in a piggy bank, it's not helping, because inflation is going faster than the rate at which your money is growing. And therefore, you have to find ways to either save more as you go further, or you have to find ways to, grow your money faster than the inflation. So what we do is we give them that experiential feel that you saved so much, but now this price has gone up. So what are you going to do? Are you going to save more? Are you going to buy a cheaper car? You start thinking about what sort of decisions you will make. That sort of participation is what I think will make it very, very interesting for the child. At the same time, I think it can also be a great way to get the family involved, right? Whether it is in the classroom or at home. When I'm doing it in the classroom, it can become a situation where children sit together and discuss with each other. It's not something where I would just try to solve the problem in one corner and say, ma'am, I got the answer. You can put 4 or 5 kids together and say, these are the 3 different options. Because one more thing which happens with a lot of financial decisions is there is not one right or wrong decision, right? If you have, let's say, 1 lakh rupees and you want to buy a car in 3 years for 5 lakh rupees, there are 3 things that you can do. You can either keep saving 10,000 rupees over a period of 3 years and have a little extra to beat the inflation, or you can think of buying a cheaper car, or if you want to keep saving the same amount of money, then you don't have enough earning during that period, then how will you get that money? How will you cut your other costs in order to reach that level? So there can be various decisions that you can make, and if we can get kids together and discuss amongst each other, then I think that's a great way to involve kids in that decision making. And some of these exercises, in fact, we have suggested to them that go home and do this with your parents or your siblings, because let it be a family thing as well, right? It's a great way to involve the whole family. It's also a great way to show the parents, because a lot of times we'll see that even the parents are not thinking in those lines, right, about finances. We just earn money, we just put money in a savings bank or fixed deposit and PF or whatever, and just hope that chalta jayega kaam. But there have to be certain financial decisions and planning that we have to do. We help children think about how they will set short-term goals, medium-term goals, long-term financial goals, how they will actually save money, how much money they have to save, why this has to be a goal. So these are the kind of things where it can become very involved process. And that's why I come back to that other topic where you yourself asked that why should it be taught by an expert, right? Because this has to be facilitated learning. It cannot be simply chalk and talk kind of learning.
So how the teachers are going to teach through these exercises or activities you're giving up in your Countingwell app? And at the very same time, sir, I also believe that so many skills of the children develop, the motor skill, the thinking skill, all the skills will get developed because they'll have thousands of ideas. Right now, you were saying that if you have 1 lakh rupees and a 5 lakh rupees car, which is right now, you have to buy it after 3 years. So there are n number of options. Suppose just now option came into me, okay, instead of collecting, saving 10,000 per month, I will just think over that this car after 3 years will be probably be of 6 lakh. So I'll start saving around 12 to 13,000 per month because I may cope up with the inflation also when I'll be there after 3 years. So when the child is discussing in groups, going and discussing it at home also, new ideas and new creativity, and that so many skills, including motor skills, everything will develop. And when these type of skills enter into the mind of the child, he will gradually become very good in all the subjects. He'll take interest in all the subjects. Because it is always said that when a child is good in mathematics, he will be good in almost all the subjects. Exceptions are always there. That is wonderful, sir. Because financial literacy, thanks to NEP, those who have brought up financial literacy into the curriculum, so many CBSE is also doing up with so many workshops with the school teachers, because school leaders also, that this should go into the students also, into the parents also, to the teachers also, as well as the principals also. So this was a very interesting topic, sir, today, that we have talked about financial literacy, and we are surely going to move it to all the school leaders so that they may share up it with all the teachers, especially with the maths teachers and with the students. They may see this and they may understand what is the importance of financial literacy. It will not be a burden to the students. Actually, it will develop the skills of the students, and it will make the subject very interesting. Thank you so much, Nirmal sir. Thank you so much for giving the insightness of financial literacy. It is now 100% clear with us that why financial literacy should be taught in schools. And we will be disturbing you again after coming up with a very new topic, very different topic. And as soon as we are ready up with another topic, we'll disturb you and ask you, sir, now we want your expertise on this particular topic. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Hope to see you again, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, sir.